morning. Good morning. Good morning, nephew. What it's
Good
doing? What it's
morning.
doing in the
Good morning.
ATL?
It's freezing. I saw that it snowed in Baltimore yesterday.
Really?
It
What? You
snowed
talk
during the
about
baseball game.
seasons.
hmm
Wow. How much? Do you know how much accumulation
I
they
don't.
had?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was like maybe a couple of inches, but it definitely. If you go back,
Wow.
I was watching Sports Center. If you take a note to the game, you will see like it's coming down heavy, and we're in April and it's snowing.
April, y'all. April. That's why we got to be prepared for change, right? Don't
Yes,
don't pack
ma'am.
the coats because you might need them. So hey, same with life. Don't put it away because I promise you, if you do, you got to come back to it. You got to come back to it. So I thank you for rocking with me on this Saturday, on this weekend podcast, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm happy to be here. Once you told me what the topic was, and we've been kind of hinting on it for the longest, it's like now we have
Mhm.
to talk about it because it's the topic of the passage this morning, and it's a passion. It's a passion for me. I think it's one of the most misunderstood subjects, which makes God misunderstood because we don't have a full understanding of what love is. And so then,
Mhm.
David talks about love in this particular passage and uses, well, we'll get to it. So I don't want to jump into it, but good morning, good morning, good morning.
All right. See, he's ready. He's on ready, y'all. So what I'm gonna do is say good morning to the great people. KL says it is freezing in Las Vegas.
Oh, I've been there when it's cold, KL. I was totally surprised. I'm thinking I'm going to the desert. And I've heard about other deserts at night it's freezing, but I just didn't expect that. That was my first time in Vegas as well. So, yeah, I was out there with Nikki, Auntie. She was playing softball, and I'm just watching her play softball in the wind chill. I can't even remember how what the wind chill was, but it definitely felt about 45 45, 50 degrees or so plus the wind chill. I was like, this is not enjoyable. This is Vegas.
I left Georgia. I left Sun, right? To come to Vegas
Right.
and freeze. Right. So we're missing our Brenda. It's Saturday though, so she may be, doing some things, but that's just somebody who's been rocking with us. And I'm sure YouTube is full of my Miss V who rocks with us every day and who has been here doing her thing, growing, learning, and moving
Learning.
forward. So we're going to get right into it. If you've been rocking with us, we've been reading Daily Motivations for African American Success. It's a book written by Dennis Kimbro. You've not gotten the book. Your rocking chair is broke. It's leaning to the side. Got the gangster lean, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I'm going to start by giving us just some brief history about the book or what the book is about. So, Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead you to the achievement of your true goals, right? Your true goals. In
hmm
365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, who is also the author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes, but also when to say no, y'all, and when to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans, such as, but certainly not limited to, Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, and hundreds of others. Go away. My pop up here, you guys. I'm sorry. Um, Okay, hold on one second. I had a pop up for whatever reason, a Zoom pop up. Okay, there we go. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year, but what it teaches you will last a lifetime. Black Enterprise says each affirmation in this valuable and thought provoking book takes only a few minutes to read, but is worthy of more time for contemplation. So I hope you guys are contemplating after we get off of the show. My brother Mike has jumped in with us, says, "Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Always a pleasure to see fam out there, especially my brother." So, all right, Will, I am turning it over to you to do your thing.
Well, good morning, KL. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Auntie. Once again, so let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Definitely, this message is for the black folks in the back. We talking to you. Hey, black folks. We just want to holler at you for a second. Come up front. Just move closer. Move closer. We just want to make sure that you get it all. We want to make sure that you hear it all. So, day 65, day 65, April 6th. Day 65 is April 6th, ladies and gentlemen. And the topic for the day that love the great equalizer. Love the great equalizer. And uh, the quote comes from Montesumi Ash. Yeah, Janae Montesumi Ash. She was a photographer and the widow of the former tennis player, the great Arthur Ashe. If you do not know who that is, please look him up. She was actually married to the great Arthur Ashe. And her quote reads, "There is more pleasure in loving than in being loved. There's more pleasure in loving than in being loved." And the passage reads this morning, "The real secret of success is love. We must love ourselves enough to know that we are worthy to succeed. You can gauge how well you are succeeding in the game called life by the number of loving relationships you have. Without this recognition of love, the idea of success rings hollow. True love comes to us every moment of each day, disguised in many forms from every possible angle. It is up to us to accept the love into our hearts. There is nothing more important than love. It is humanity's greatest experience. It is humanity's greatest experience. Love, that is, y'all. Love is one emotion that determines for each of us the space we will occupy in our hearts of our fellow men. It is the solid foundation upon which all humanity is based. You are love. You are love. In other words, you are not only your brother's keeper, you are your brother's brother.
Mm,
A man came up to two boys fighting in the park. He took one aside and began to spank him for his inappropriate behavior. An observing bystander came up to the man and asked indignantly why he didn't do anything to the other boy. The man responded, "That child he was disciplining was his son, and he loved him dearly. He loved him enough to teach him the lessons for the future. Real love is selfless and
mm,
free from fear. It pours itself out upon object of its affection without demanding any return, for love cannot be demanded, but it must be given." And the affirmation for today is, "I will express my love for others. I will express my love for others." The black folks that just moved up a little bit closer to us, you
mm,
will express your love for others. A mouthful, Auntie. It says so much. One thing that I would say about Dennis is, it's a lot to unpack if you truly, divulged or really jumped into even today's passage or the passage yesterday, or even some passages before you even getting to day 65. Is sometimes it's a lot to unpack, but to your point, we're opening the show, you should be able to take it back and truly meditate on it, and it starts to cause, a sense of thought provoking moments in your
mm,
life, to whereas you have to question, or you have to ask yourself why. We have to ask yourself and take self inventory and really challenge yourself to see exactly where you stand in regards to some of these topics, so that you can be transformed. You really have to challenge yourself in your thought process, and also take into consideration your experiences, your education, the trauma, and how you have become who you are, and what benefit of the things that you've experienced are to other people. So this is definitely another one. I have a page full of notes. But before I hand it back over to you and we kind of touch on the comments, Auntie, I just wanted to say that, Arthur Ashe's widow, and I'm not going to try to say her last name again, but I'm going to say Mrs. Ashe, Janine. She was an AIDS activist. And if you know anything about Arthur, he was actually, in his own way, a civil rights advocate for what was going on during the time, him being such a prominent figure from a tennis standpoint, which was not a sport that Black people occupied to a large degree or dominated. From a African American standpoint, anything we touch from a physical uh, um, set of attributes to be good at that particular sport, we usually dominate. Whatever we touch, we dominate. And he came in and was able to win some, I think, a couple opens, and it was just the first for someone of our color to do so. And while doing so, he used his platform to try to get back to his brothers that he loved in society and humanity, so that everyone can have fair and equal rights across the board. So I can get exactly where this quote is coming from, because there's a reciprocity in love, and she's talking about that reciprocity
Mhm.
in her quote.
Nephew, I'm gonna be just brief because I want you to do your thing here. Two things I want to focus on, and then if time permits, I'll come back after you're done. But no rush. I want all that you have down, so you can gauge how well you are succeeding in this game called life by the number of loving relationships you have. Loving, not how many relationships you guys, because there's some people who are married and not, but don't have a loving relationship
Hmm.
with each other, right? And then the part here where it says a man came up to the two boys fighting in the park. He took one aside who we learned that was his own son. And this is why this I needed this today, because I had something happen yesterday that you want to love the people that you love, but you want the people that you love to love themselves, right?
Hmm.
And so I feel like I was the father who had to um, pull somebody that out of the fight with themselves, not with somebody else. And that's one thing. If we take something away from here today, you guys know that loving someone is keeping it real, right, with them. When you like love hurts, sometimes they say, like, it doesn't, the love is not hurting, it's what you're receiving, because we're so used to covering things up, right,
Hmm.
and just letting things go until they blow up, or you just don't have a relationship anymore. And so my hope is that I love myself enough to hold others accountable to do the same, that they love themselves as well,
Hmm.
and that I don't hinder them in any way, in any way, in any way, right? So I needed this morning because I tossed and turned about my decision um, not to do something for someone, right? And it was because I feel like this person didn't really need me to do it, but didn't really want to do it themselves. And my hope is that, again, you love yourself enough to take care of yourself. Because, like we said, if you don't love yourself, you don't love me. I'm telling you, you can't love me appropriately in the manner that this is talking about. So, do your thing, nephew. I'm ready for it. I got my book. I'm gonna make some notes, because even I still need lessons about love, right? That's what.
We're lifetime learners.
Right.
Even if
That's
that
right.
learning is a reminder or cycling back to something that you've heard before and you just needed to hear it again.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
one thing before we get started, and I'm going to touch on some of the things that you said, because I feel like it ties into some of the information and education that we're going to gain this morning. Is, let's remember what I said a couple of days ago, and the word that was given to me to share a couple mornings ago is you must know how to impress God and impress yourself, and then how to love God and to love yourself before you can love anybody else and before you can impress anybody else, because you have to live with you go to God for your own soul salvation. So remember what the priority is and what's most important, so that you're able to have a cup that overflows and you're able to give it to others. And that's what love pertains to. You got to fill your cup up. If you don't have your cup filled, to Auntie's point where she was just speaking about the individual that she was referencing to, is you have to fill your cup up. Otherwise you have nothing to give. You're walking around on empty, and you're choosing to walk around on empty, because the world is filled with love. We have to seek it out. You know, we have to seek it out. We truly have to seek it out. It might not come from a family. It might not come from relatives. It might not even come from your closest friend. It might be some random, stranger that you meet on the street, and maybe they give you a hug because they notice something about you, or they see something that's off, or maybe it's a coworker. You just don't know where it's going to come from, but God wants you to experience that love. Like Dennis has already mentioned, it's humanity's greatest experience. Love is truly humanity's greatest experience, but it's very important that we are on the same page about that love. It's
Mm.
vitally important that we're on the same page. If you search love in Google, you're going to come up with so many definitions of love, but love should it has only one definition. You know, they have these different types. And so when you're talking about having a loving relationship, some of the times, and usually you experience this in the dating realm, but when you're talking about having a loving relationship, relationships not only with yourself, with those around you, with your family, with humanity, even with things and objects and anything associated from that particular standpoint. You know, the Greek distinguished love in 8 different types. So if you're of Greek descent, are you of the belief of following, you know, the definitions of love based off, you know, Greek methodology or Greek theology? There's 8 types. There's 8 types. So let's think about that now. When before we go into this level of now we're creating this confusion, and why we can't be all on the same page is because we're seeking and we're justifying love in different ways. And then we're also validating the love that we choose to give by saying, oh, okay, well, I can just pivot from what I see that's in the Greek understanding of love and say, instead of it being agape, maybe is, you know, let me see. No, man, you know what? These Greek words, I'm gonna mess around and mispronounce one of these things. So maybe it's Marva, you know, maybe it's Marva, maybe it's Eros, or maybe it's Philia. I think I'm spelling Philia. Yeah, Philia, which is love of friends. And so you get to this space where you could justify your love in each and every way, but are you being loving? Are you truly embodying what the definition of love is? And we're going to get to that in a moment, but that comes from the Bible. And a lot of times when we're out of relationship with God, or we truly don't receive the love that we need from one another, or from somebody that you choose, that you think and you believe like, hey, they should be giving me the type of love that I hear people talking about, is because we're operating in other aspects of what and other types of what we justify as love. Have you ever asked somebody what love means to them? That's a real question when you're dating, when you come into contact with someone, and if it maybe it's just a general conversation. It doesn't have to have, you know, any additional motives behind it, but you just want to have an understanding. So you ask somebody like, what is your definition of love? Ask yourself, what is your definition of love, and what comes to mind. Is it a Greek understanding of what love is? Do you take one of their types and kind of run with it because you have 8 to choose from, or do you take the Word of God from the Bible, from First Corinthians, and that's your understanding and definition of love? See, when you have an eight, when you have an 8 types, it creates confusion, and with that confusion, and God is not of confusion, it creates inconsistency, and that inconsistency, it destroys many relationships. It destroys many individuals opportunity to be on the same page, but because you can't agree on what love is to you. Like, what is that love to you? Are we on the same page with love? Yeah, we can speak love in different languages. That's what the love languages come into it. You know, we have 7 love languages, but in the same token, are we truly the foundation of love? Do we have it? Are we operating with it daily? Are we experiencing it, as Dennis has mentioned, daily when we come into contact with love in many different forms? You know, and his mention of, okay, let's say that the brotherly love of what that idea of love, and how we don't have these truly, um, how was it noted? We don't have fulfilling relationships in life now because our understanding of what love is has been misconstrued. Our understanding of love has not been taught anymore. We come up with what love looks to us from experience, from trauma, from what we derive it to be, and we don't seek out even to try to distinguish or compartmentalize what that love is, even from a Greek standpoint, to have a better understanding of ourselves. But one thing that I would tell you, that confusion lies because we don't go to the source of what love is. That confusion lies because we can't have a true understanding of how to love God, because we don't know who he is, because we don't know what love is, because God is love. So if we're
Nephew,
seeking
can I
something
say
out,
something real quick? I just real quick. But okay, so love rejoices with truth, and that's First Corinthians that talks about what things are. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with truth. I
mhm.
just had to say that, nephew. There you go.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we're gonna get to another version of the Bible where it reads exactly from First Corinthians, exactly what love is and how we should carry out that love. But I just truly want to bring home, because we don't have a ton of time, on these mornings. But I truly, for everyone that's listening, I want you to challenge your idea of what love is. And truly, if your idea of love is from your experiences, is it from derived from your trauma? Is it something that you were taught? Because when you think about us having brotherly love, we live in a nation right now where we have truly, we racism still exists, not even in our nation, but across the world. Racism still exists. And when you truly try to unpack, well, why does racism still exist when we have all these? We have a comment, adult,
I
and
just
go
put that
ahead.
out there. I just found it in one of the banners, so it's so appropriate. But I put it out there if you want to read it.
Yes, adult love is modeled on a template of love from our childhood. Problematic attractions. Truly problematic attractions. And the unfortunate part is we are not too removed from who we were and what we learned in childhood. Those behaviors, those thoughts, those habits, those beliefs, those I would say those pressures, anxieties. What's the other word I'm looking for? Those motivators from when you were a child. Have you really decided as an adult to sit back and say, well, why do I approach this a certain way? Why do I view it this way? Why is my perception this certain way? Why do I take this different vantage point? Because all that ties into your ability to love. If you truly don't know who you are, to love yourself, to give yourself grace, mercy, not hold no record of wrongs on yourself. Have you done that? Are you resentful of some of the things that you've done so that you're able to fill your cup up with love, and show that love and give that love to somebody else? When Dennis mentions that you are your brother's brother, the unfortunate part, everybody probably saw New Jack City. I'm just gonna throw this in there because I think it's kind of humorous in the sense that I am my brother's keeper, but then you kill your brother. We see this in the Bible with Cain and Abel. But in the same token, there is a love that God gave Cain for killing Abel just off the grace and mercy of him loving Cain. And so much has come from it, just from that love. So think about how much you changing your approach to love and how you choose to love with those around you can change not only your life, but their life. And that's why it says it's not seeking or insists of its own way. So if you're already a person who only has to have your way, who only wants to have your way, that's not truly what love is. That's not truly what love is, and that creates confusion. And then we justify our beliefs, we justify our selfishness, we justify that self-indulgent indulgement and what we consider to be okay. We're protecting ourselves by saying, okay, I love myself enough to protect myself. That's true. You must hold your heart and keep your heart with all diligence. But that doesn't mean you do it without operating in love and with love to the person that needs that love. You're selling them short and selling yourself short by not being able to gather the reciprocity of what that love is going to give back and how it's going to change. See, it creates a trickle effect. So if we're always in a point to whereas we're willing to give that love and share that love, people get a chance to experience God. The word tells us that people who do not have a relationship with God have not experienced the love of God. And the way they experience the love of
Mm,
God is through another person. So everything that we do is relational.
wow.
So if we're undermining what the word has already told us, If we're not learning from what the word has already told us and what God is trying to teach us, then we're undermining what can actually solve the problem that we have currently in this world, in this nation, and that is the love, and not love in different types, but love in this particular way. And I'm gonna give it back to you. 1 Corinthians 13, 4 verses 4 through 7 reads, love is patient, love is kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoices with truth. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop right there. Truth. Are you living a lie? Are you allowing a lie to exist and you're covering it up or not challenging somebody to change their behavior, their actions because they're not doing it out of love because you are not walking in truth? Maybe that's just your assignment. See, in the sense of the reference to the dad, you know, disciplining his son because he was not displaying love with the other kid, was to show him that later on down the road that you're going to have some discipline in order to love. You're going to have some obedience in order to love. You're going to have some self-control in order to love. You're going to have to check yourself in order to love. You're going to have to die to your flesh in order to love. We've seen that Jesus has already died on the cross for love for us. So if you're not willing to sacrifice in order to love, you're not going to truly love. But the most important thing is that you operate out of truth. People need that truth. Feedback is a gift. Sometimes feedback comes in the form of punishment or disciplining. And that's usually with children. But do we see it in adults when we go and commit a crime and now we have to pay the time? See, are we willing to do all those things? And because we don't have that self accountability about ourselves, we're not truly willing to love. And so that's why we have a love disparity. We have a love disparity because we don't want to change who we are. We want to say, oh, okay, because God loves me, I am who I am. And that's okay. Until you have to get to the gates and hold an account for all the things that you've done and all the unwillingness that you've had in your heart to change. Because I promise you, God is throwing so many instances in your life for him to see and prove, for you can prove to yourself that you're willing to love, and you keep missing the assignment because you're only thinking about it your way, or you're only thinking about what it is and what it does for you. And I'm gonna leave it at this, Auntie, and I'm gonna go back to you. One thing that one of my friends has told me, it was a couple years back, that truly resonated with me, and it's always stuck with me. And it's from a loving standpoint. And I've always said it in so many words my way, but through conversation about arguments, and certain things not being needed to be said in arguments, which is another part. We gonna talk about that. It's a whole nother conversation as to how you're loving through even a disagreement. But he said, what you're doing, when you're doing it, if you're saying that you're doing it in love, does it benefit everybody involved? Does it benefit everybody involved? Did you do it for the benefit of the whole, or you did it for the benefit of yourself? That's a true loving question to really challenge. Are you loving in everything that you do? Because if you're operating like this and you're operating always out of truth and the love that bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, you're willing to love in its fullness. But it takes a lot. And it's going to challenge what you probably are already doing, because it's a challenge every single day. And you have to die to your flesh every single day in order to be more kingdom mindset, be more having of a kingdom mindset and to operate as Christ did. Auntie.
So I'm going to go back to First Corinthians, and I'm going to go back to that last part. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but it rejoices with the truth. We're also told that the truth shall set you, what, nephew?
Free. It's free.
Free. The truth shall
Liberty.
set you free. So let me go back to us, you guys, as we talk about the love for ourselves. This is so true. The greatest lie we tell, think about the word truth, or the lies that we tell are the ones that we tell to ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
somehow we come to believe them, right? We make them true to save ourselves. There was something we talked about, how we are so fearful of failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we create this lie that we have not failed, we are not failing, and we will not fail, although we are in the midst of failing internally. Like, so if we're not operating out of truth with ourselves, how are we with others? If you're fearful of succeeding, and some of us are fearful of success and failure,
Hmm.
so where are you? And you think about love is the great equalizer. I'm going to share this with you as I found something on this very interesting. A great equalizer is your quality of happiness, success, wealth, satisfaction, and fulfillment as a person. Let me say that again. Your quality of happiness. See, some of us, truth be told, we're not happy. We're not happy with ourselves, but we're pretending to be. We are avoiding the fact that we're not happy. So, your quality of happiness, success, and we're not talking about money, houses, cars, internal success. Are you rich inside with your emotions? Do you have control? Do you have awareness about your thoughts, your actions, right? Your wealth. Again, not talking about money. Because if a person who has none of these things, who has not been equalized, right, they can get money and they're still always searching for more. They can have enough money to go and do whatever it is they want to do at any time, but they're still not rich and fulfilled inside. So, satisfaction and fulfillment, just covered that one. Just waking up and being satisfied, grateful, fulfilled. No, count your blessings instead of the things that you feel like you want. I am more blessed today because somebody didn't wake up. Somebody doesn't get a second chance. Somebody just made the graveyard a little bit richer. As nephew said some days ago, how the graveyard is one of the richest places in the world because we die full. We die with our music still playing that we never heard because we weren't equalized, right? So since these have far more to do with what you create in perception, I say perception, in thought, in attitude, think about that. So just think about that, you guys. Your quality of happiness. How happy are you? What is love to you? Answer these questions. As the book says, what we bring here, what we share, what we get, you have to do more contemplating on. And contemplate it based on your true goals, not someone else's, not someone else's. So I'm gonna I'm led to read that one more time. A great equalizer is your quality of happiness, success, wealth, satisfaction, and fulfillment as a person. Since these have far more to do with what you create in perception, in your thoughts, and in your attitudes, right? Think about that. Let's see. Let me make sure. I'm going to check comments here before I
Hmm.
get going too soon. And how are we? Oh, it's 7:33 already? What happened to the time?
And it flew by.
All right. So, Leo Barney, good morning. He says, all the way from North Carolina, the greatest love of all. They wrote a song about it. And someone asked, did author Ash die from AIDS? I don't know.
We will have to research that. I don't believe so though. I really don't believe so. I think it was from something else because he was actually rather young when he passed. But I don't believe so. We can look it up though. Let me see.
Yeah.
You go.
Yeah. Why don't let him, let's let them do it. Come on, bring us
Yeah,
Diddy. You got
it
a
just
phone
popped
right
up.
there, KL. Bring it up. So more contemplating. Let's start right now before we get off the
It
show.
was.
It is.
It was. He actually died of pneumonia as a complication of AIDS.
So now tell me again. So he was married to the person that gave us our quote today.
Correct.
Okay. I wonder. That's interesting. And she was the wife. Was an advocate for
Yeah, she
AIDS.
was a right. She was a AIDS activist.
Okay, that's interesting. Makes you wonder. How they met. Was it before?
Right,
Um,
that's yeah, now you wanna kinda unpack the story. They should I don't know why they don't have a biopic about him yet. I really don't know why. That's definitely a part of the story that people don't know, even for those who might know exactly like, okay, Arthur Ashe and his accomplishments, on the tennis court, but yeah, I didn't know that was the cause of death. That's really interesting. That's very interesting, actually.
so I want to end with start to bring it to a close with, as we talk about love, what we think about most is our relationships, those
Mhm,
romantic relationships, right? And certainly they do require us to grow more, or if love more is appropriate. I don't think so, but love more. Um, it would be there because we are closely connected. We are sometimes we are mostly with those people, right? We
mhm,
spend our most of our time, hopefully, and maybe I should even question that, because if you factor in work and doing everything else and then sleep, how much real time do you really have with the people that you really love, right? And even that is another show, because growing, and having this love, these loving relationships, right, requires that you spend time with people, that you spend time and get to know the people that you love, so that you understand them,
mhm,
and you understand what they need and how they need it. And you're not going into relationships, when you get to a place that you're no longer going into relationships, whatever kind of relationships they are, to receive,
mm.
but to give. And even in that manner, it says it's a blessing to be a blessing.
That
This
sound
is
that
with
sounds
love,
like
with
dating, that
money,
D.
and everything. Huh?
I said that sounds like dating. That sounds
That
like
sounds
dating. Yeah, that definitely sounds like dating. Like you going into it to receive something, but not thinking about what you have to give.
right. And even people in marriage, people who are married are still like, what can you do for me?
Mhm.
What you got for me?
Right.
And you think about, it says it's a blessing to it's a blessing to be a blessing.
Be a
Think
blessing.
about
Yep.
this. If it's a blessing to be a blessing in love, it's a blessing to love, right? Just like it is to give. So if you're able to give love and not think about receiving it, just give it. Just give it. But you can't give. You can't give what you don't have. Period. And if you don't love yourself, what are you giving? What are you truly giving? And I'm going to say, I have it out here, unresolved trauma. Let me pull it up. Unresolved trauma can make it difficult to name, trust, describe, and understand what you are feeling, making it difficult to have healthy emotions and healthy relationships. And yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, that we said, you know what your purpose is? One of your purposes is to heal,
Mhm.
to heal. Because if you're walking around with all that stuff inside of you, guess what you're giving out? All of that stuff
All
inside
that
of you.
stuff.
You're giving out all of that stuff. Like you said yesterday, if I ask somebody I'm dating, hey, why did you do that? I don't know.
Oh
You say,
no.
I'm out.
I'm done.
I'm done. Because that's a Tupac question. That's a Tupac answer there. Come on, I don't know. But he's three. He's three. And you're 23, 33, 43. You don't know why you did stuff. What do you want?
I'm
I don't
even
know.
53. I have some
Right.
customers. You be man.
Right. So love, the great equalizer. It brings balance in your life. And I'm talking about love. Equalize yourself first. Balance yourself. Understand the love for yourself. Be patient with yourself. Be kind. Tell yourself the truth. How about that? Be honest with yourself about where you are, who you are. Because you can't help anybody heal until you do it yourself.
You
It's a
know,
wrap. Over to you.
Auntie, I'll say this, because just doing some research on love in itself and all the other definitions and types and things of that nature in regards to love. I also looked up and I found on Google. I can't remember what I can't source the site, a cite the source, but what I want to read is so it says true love is defined as a bond that often involves understanding each other's core values, beliefs, and life goals. But the interesting thing about all of these different types of loves, everything that it's derived in love, from the definition of love, whether the author or whoever came up with this ideology really looked into the Bible before sending out or creating these other types, is it still derives from what's in First Corinthians. So in order for you to understand somebody's core values, beliefs, and life goals, don't you have to be truthful? Don't they have to tell you the truth about what they feel, what they think, what they believe, what direction that they're going in, what their passions are, what their ambitions are? You can't achieve and arrive to the destination of knowing somebody's life goals, beliefs, and core values without them telling you the truth and without you being truthful with them. Love opens the door for so many opportunities and avenues of healing, of letting go, fear, resentment, all the things that are not fruits of the spirit. Like all the things that come from a evil spirit, from a negative spirit, from who we know to be today as the devil, which is to cause confusion. And that
Mm.
confusion is creating all these different types of love. One thing that I can tell you, the peace that you're looking for, anything that you're seeking out, and money is not the most valuable thing on this earth. So just to go ahead and throw that out there. So don't think if it's okay, this will help me seek out money. And but in other words, in truth be told, it might actually help you because now you know how to form long lasting, healthy relationships where there's reciprocity within that relationship, or you know how to operate out of love regardless of the reciprocity, because you're not looking for somebody to give you something back immediately. You're just operating out of love, and it opened up a door for you because you needed that relationship. But everything, that peace, that health, oh man, if I could remember the story verbatim, I would tell it, Auntie. But people are healed by truly coming into contact with love. Their bodies are healed by letting go resentment, envy, fear, um, trauma. Their bodies begin to heal because they begin to love themselves. There is a power in love. There is something that you're missing because we're not loving the way that we're supposed to. Don't take in your experiences. Don't take in all these other elements. Compare your experience and take and put your experiences up on the I forgot what they would call it, but essentially you're going to contrast your experiences with what the definition of love is, so you can put them in the right space in your mind, in your heart, and in your spirit, and in your soul, so that when they sit in the right place, you're now postured in the right space to be able to love, to give that love out, and to receive the love healing that you need for all the things that you've been through and the things that you're going to go through. See, if we don't learn this, then you're going to be ill prepared for what it is that you're going to have to deal with later on in life, because that love is going to be challenged. But if you truly know what love is, as First Corinthians has laid it out, as it's truly given us insight to who God is, we're able to operate as God in the sense of love, to share the number one thing that He gave us, the number one thing that sent His Son down to die for us, which was for love. It was for love, ladies and gentlemen. So if we're not doing at the bare minimum that, then we're selling ourselves short. We're selling people around us short, and we're not showing them and being the example of change that we need and we hope for. But we keep crying out for it, but we're not doing our part. See, it starts in the mirror. That change starts with you. It starts with you. It truly does start with you. And it's okay to be challenged on your love. It's okay to be challenged on your patience. It's okay to be challenged and trying to be kind when somebody's cursing you out. Because one thing that you want to have is you want to have that conviction that if you do something that's outside of love, you realize that you have to repent for that. And you have to say, yo, that's out of character. That's not who I am now. That might have been who I was, but that's not who I am today. And I want people to truly feel love. I want people to truly experience God. And I'll leave you with this. Think about if someone can experience God through you.
Mm.
If they can experience God through you,
Mm.
you can be that catalyst. You can be that change if you allow them to experience God through you. One of the things I've always wanted, and it might look crazy, especially today's age, is just as Moses came down from Mount Sinai, right? He came down from Mount Sinai, spending time with God. The glory of God was on his face. It says his face shone like a light, like this ring light that's shining on my face right now. If you looked at him, it was so bright that people couldn't even stare Moses in the face. He had to put on a covering because it was so bright. Think about your love light shining that bright on
Mm.
somebody else, to give them
Mhm.
light in a situation that they feel like they had no hope for. They feel like they had no way out. That might be your assignment. Think about if you change somebody's life through the love of God that you're able to share with them.
Oh, nephew, y'all, we're gonna have to do like this. This kind of when we got a lot of time, just go back through some of these because this is so awesome. I've learned so much. I want to, as we close, go back to what Paul writes in First Corinthians. This one says, I'm gonna go ahead and read it all. So now, faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love,
It's
leading
love.
some Christians to conclude love leading some Christians, all of us, I'm going to say, to conclude that love is more important than faith or hope. If that don't wake you up, love is more, and I believe that is more important than faith and hope because if you don't have love for yourself, how can you be faithful? How can you be faithful? And just a mustard seed of faith, how can you be hopeful? And if you don't love yourself, what you're saying to God is, I don't love who you created. How
Hmm.
can you love him? How can you love God if you
Right.
don't love yourself? And if that love doesn't pour from that. And as you mentioned, the light, right? So often, you guys, and this will be something that you can do. You talked about the mirror, and I was going to suggest this before we close. Henry Garden was on one of the shows we did. It was about relationships, loving romantic relationships, and he recommended that couples sit down, hold hands, and just no music, nothing, and just stare into each other's eyes. Don't say anything, just look in each other's eyes for as long as you can do that, right? I challenge couples to do that today. If you're listening, go back to your husband or someone you're thinking about doing this life with and say, now think about it, because some of y'all will have too much pride and ego. You don't
You
want to
might
be
find out something that
vulnerable.
you want to know.
You'll feel some kind of way about, hey, babe, I want us to just sit and gaze into each other's eyes because that's that's going to have you look into their soul, right? You're going
Hmm.
to see them, you're
Hmm.
going to feel some things are going to come up. But if you don't have anybody in your life, let me tell you what I want you to do. Gaze into your own eyes,
Hmm.
stand before that mirror and look at you, yourself, all of you, and allow your spirit to talk to you,
And
right?
and own it, Auntie. Own
I
it.
want it.
Whatever comes back, don't run from it. Approach it head on until you truly figure out why it is that you're being challenged in this way. When you're looking at yourself in the eyes, when you're
Mhm,
staring at
mhm.
yourself in the mirror, don't run from it. Don't run from
Please
it.
don't.
Because
Matter of
if
fact,
you're
y'all go write
uncomfortable,
it
if you're
down so that
uncomfortable,
you can
something has
address it.
to change.
Yeah, say, I'm sorry, nephew.
I
What
said, if
was you?
you're uncomfortable, that means something has to change.
That's right. And something does have to change. I don't care how far we go. It's like, and I hope that didn't come out wrong when I said, even I want to learn today. That means that y'all have been doing this for so long. And there are days I wake up like, oh, are we going back there? Are we going back there? But I go back to this book. Every thought which enters our mind, every word we utter, every deed we perform makes its impressions on the innermost fiber of our being. And not just what you do, the people around you, every word they speak to you. You have to be in love with yourself enough to know I ain't gonna pick that one up, so I don't have to put it down. That's not who I am. May have been, you may know a little bit about me to know that was a part of my life in the past. I look and I see the cathedral that I'm building.
Hmm.
I see the light that is coming upon my face. And when y'all meet people with that light, don't feel some kind of way. Go up. Go up and be like, hey, how you doing? What's your name? Start a
Hmm.
conversation. Nice smile, whatever. Because that's the light you want. Because I was the person, somebody walk in, don't know them, just feel some kind of way. Why? Because I saw something in them that I'm still thinking, I want that. Why don't I have it? because I had not learned to love myself to the point where I know when to say yes to myself and to you, but I also went to say no to you and to myself and go back and not feel guilty about it because I'm doing it out of love, and love is truth. Love is truth. So we had some more comments that come in, and we'll read them, and then we're going to get out of here, you guys, because I'm so thankful Lil Will just, he saw that topic. He's like, oh no, Auntie, I'll be on. I'll be on. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you too. So my cousin Nikki is out. She says amen at some part. Let's see. She also says, thank you, cousin. This brought me back to life today after dealing with some difficult things last night. Wow, I'm right there with you, cuz I had a difficult yesterday. Um, and this was appropriate for me today. It equalized my thoughts because y'all, it hurts. It hurts to think that you are causing people pain that you love. But it's just really time for people to grow, y'all, and know
Hmm.
that they know that they know that they know that they know that God created them. He didn't just create me to transform my life to be renewed. He's doing it for me. He will do it for you. And if I love you, I want it to be done.
Right.
I don't
I
want
want
you
I
just,
want to share. I want you to share that experience. I want to talk about it
right,
and rejoice in it
right.
and
I
like
want
truly be in the
our lights
space.
to blind each other, right? So KL says, Tammy, when I come to Cordova, I'm going to what? Get off, stare in your eyes. Get off this KL. Inappropriate.
That
All
sounds
right.
like never mind. Sound like one of those Greek loves.
Yeah, yeah. All right now. All right. Cold in Las Vegas. But y'all, this has been great. Nephew, thank you. I don't want to keep you from the family. I know it's Saturday. Um, and this is a time where you got to go be husband and father.
Mhm.
And tell Gwen, thank you for sharing you this morning.
Absolutely.
And
She
the
probably still
previous.
asleep.
Tell her when she wakes up.
Right,
Say,
right,
say
right.
Auntie Tammy
We're
says,
definitely gonna go stare though. We're definitely going. She's probably gonna think it's weird and look at me kind of odd. I'm like, I mean,
you're gonna
why
do
would you
it?
do all this?
You're
Oh
gonna do it?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And you'd be surprised. Some of y'all, when you do this, you're gonna realize, like, wait a minute, God gave me a gift. I'm telling you, you're gonna stare in their eyes, and it's gonna be a challenge. But to you all's point, everybody that had a challenging yesterday, I had a questionable yesterday as well in regards to
Mm,
someone that, um, I'm trying to develop to grow to the next level, and I found out more information about truly his behavior and his support of that growth and how he truly supports me in the sense of trusting and believing that I'm the person that's going to be able to help him get to that spot like I've done so many times before with others. And like I told I told my wife when I got home, and I was like, it's not something I wanted to talk about. And I don't know. I was like, usually one thing that I love, and what I'll say this real quick and we'll jump, is when God gives you peace about a crazy situation, like something real that you should probably respond out of character to, but you have peace about it, so you don't respond to it, and it kind of builds you up because you're in the space where, dang, I don't really have to act out of character just to meet that person with the energy that they gave me. But what I would say is, I think the biggest thing was when you're operating out of love, no matter the circumstance or the situation, always treat every circumstance as a moment to gain information.
mm,
So when you're trying to meet somebody where they are, even though it might be very frustrating, it might be very hopefully not irritating, but sometimes we get irritated, and it says love is not irritable. But at the same token, when you first get that piece of information or something that you don't like, that's an attribute of somebody that you do care about, it will challenge you, and then it will put you in a space where now you have to truly learn how to love. So I will say to you, to give a solution to that particular aspect of that challenge, is take it as information, because now you get a chance to meet somebody where they are. It's been displayed and illustrated in the Bible. Jesus has done it so many times, from the tax collector to this just people just trying to reach him in every in which way possible, to the man at the well, to trying to understand why this person has that personality, has that perspective on life. That is your opportunity to love. Those are your greatest opportunities to love. But you must take that difficult situation as information taken back, that is not going to change who you are, but it'll change how you love them.
Mm. All
It'll
right,
change how
nephew.
you love
Mm.
them.
Mm.
So allow it to change how you love them. Don't ask them to just meet you where you are. You meet them where they are, because you're in the power position in this particular scenario. And because you're in the power position in that scenario, you have a right to do something about it. God has given you an assignment to say, hey, I'm going to treat it in a certain way. And I'm going to do my best in regards to it, as if I'm doing it for God. Because we just got through talking about that, doing your best. So if doing your best is to meet them where they are, not to try to force them to meet you where you are, then you're truly loving them. So don't get frustrated. Don't stay in your irritability. Don't be so annoyed that you don't want to speak to this person anymore. Try to figure out a way to meet them where they are, with love and in love, because God is giving you love to share.
Mm. I'm going to end with this. Be willing to grow in the soil you are planted in and prepare for next year's crop. We have to get somewhere and choose to be there. We have to get somewhere and choose to be there.
Mhm.
While we are there, we must grow by turning towards the mirror. You guys turn to your mirror today. And if you have somebody that you're going to do this with, still do it with yourself. Still, maybe when you're home alone or when there's quiet, I don't know, go maybe before you're taking a shower or something. I don't know. Go in the bathroom and just stare into your eyes for as long as you can. And we want to hear about the stories. We want to hear about, as much as you want to tell, what we want to hear what it did for you. What, if anything, how did it make you feel? Journal about this, right? Because what we do here every morning, it needs to be contemplated on so that you can manifest and know your true goals,
Mhm.
your purpose. But more than anything, that you know the truth. That you know the truth, right? So that's all I have, nephew. I'm not going to keep you. It's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am. And the affirmation of the day was, I will express my love for others. I will express my love for others. I will express my love for others.
I love
Derived from First Corinthians are the 8 types of Greek love. One thing that I want you to look into, and in which it was just revealed to me in these studies, is the fact of the matter that a lot the 8 that have been mentioned, opposed to agape, that's the only one that I would say that relates exactly to what who God is, and God being love. But the rest of them, you will lose friends, you will lose parents. Some of us might even lose children, to some extent, if that be the unfortunate situation. You're not going to playfully love all the time. Sometimes that long lasting love will perish. That obsessive love will go away, and that erotic love for physical reasons is going to uh, dismay. It's going to is going to cast away as well. But if you're standing on the foundation of love, you will always have love. So always go back to the foundation of it. Don't allow people to tell you what it is and how it is that you should love if it's not according to what love is.
you. All
Y'all
right,
have a
nephew. I
blessed
guess
weekend. What you say, Auntie?
I said, all right, nephew. I'm just saying you done dropped some nuggets today. I hope y'all pick them up and eat them. They're clean. They're clean. Take a plate home. Take a plate home. Take a plate home. All right. Is that all for you, nephew? We good?
That's it. That's it. I would just say, Auntie just dropping a plug. So in July, I plan on spending a week just really going through and writing my book. And the love is about love. It's only 5 chapters. I'm going to divulge the different excerpts from the Bible about love, talking about all the what we spoke about today is going to be the first chapter of all these other types or instances or beliefs in love that create this space to whereas people can operate however they want to with justification without actually operating in love, but they call it love, And I leave it with this: don't ever let somebody tell you, "Oh, well, I don't love you like that." Oh, okay. Well, you don't love me then, because that doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Right.
that, that,
You
that
either
doesn't
love me or you
that
don't.
doesn't compute,
Not like
right?
like
Like,
that. What does that mean?
what does
What
that
does
mean?
that
Like,
mean? Yeah. And so you're gonna plug down, sit down, and do finish your book in July.
In July. I'm planning on taking a week. I don't know where we'll be. Hopefully some beach somewhere where it's just tranquil and I could just literally get through it. I have a different approach to writing the book, so I'm going to operate in that particular methodology and then just knock it out. I've already kind of went through some of the research, obviously, but yeah, I have to put it out. It's been on my heart. God gave it to me at the beginning of the year. It's been a few books, but it takes time. It takes time to
And the
get through
space you have to. I'm not saying yes, because
them.
y'all, if you've been rocking with me, I put out almost a year ago, and I just have one final chapter. It's bringing it all together
Hmm.
before it's ready. So, and KL is probably gonna have something to say about this because he really did encourage me at that time to get it going and do it. But y'all, you have to be in the space. It's like I got to that point. I was like, okay, I feel stuck. I just work just everything. So you do have to be. Some people can do it in the midst of chaos. I can't. I have to be. No one can be around me. It's almost like I'm not even there when I'm
Hmm.
writing, right? So I'm not gonna promise I'm just saying I'll think about maybe setting some time aside in July so that
Yeah, just be
maybe.
intentional. That's what I have
Yeah.
to do. Otherwise, if you're not intentional, you won't get it done.
Okay.
You'll be so overcome and consumed by all the other things going on, and
Yeah.
time just keeps passing you by. And one thing that we're going to commit to, I would say this for myself, and I'm gonna say this for Miss Butterfly, my auntie as well. We're not going to the grave on full. That's dead. I'm not doing that. I want, like I said the other day, I want people to say he did that on purpose. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
did it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I did it
Mm-hmm.
on purpose. Whatever was
Yes.
the reciprocity or the benefit or whatever was reaped as a result of it, I still did it on purpose, and I stand on that.
All right, now you heard it from the nephew. You heard it from the nephew. All right, y'all, we're gonna get out of here. Y'all be great. Love y'all. I will be back tomorrow. I don't know about Lil Will. It all depends on what this next one
Oh,
is.
I definitely would be at church.
He definitely will be at church. All right. Well, I'll be back, you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the show details for tomorrow. I will be back with day 67. How about that? How about that? So if you're able to rock with me in the morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, until such time, y'all get the book, stare in each other's eyes, stare in your own eyes. More importantly, love. And what that
Love,
means is
truly.
truth. Be in your truth so that you will help someone else be in theirs. All right. Y'all be great. Peace.